Hello. For those of you that don't know already, my name is Vanessa and I'm an intuitive tarot and oracle card reader. It's been a minute since I've posted a YouTube video, as I mainly have been focusing on taking inspired action over productivity and content creating. So with that being said, I felt the need to share with you guys some messages, and it's kind of, I guess, ironic that it is falling around the full moon that's coming up, and I have been posting on my Instagram readings for the collective for the full moons and the new moons that have been occurring. So that's the one thing I feel like I've been kind of consistently keeping up with, that you can check out that link in the description below. I'll include that if it interests you. But with all that aside, I really just wanted to do this reading a little differently. That's why it's titled for Freethinkers as opposed to just a general reading for the collective, because I feel like it's not really for everybody. This message, or the messages that are kind of coming out, are for people that want something more, that feel like they're not being necessarily told the accurate information through the media outlets, your typical news resources, and stuff like that. So people looking for an alternative to put their mind at ease through what's transpiring right now. So for lack of a better term, I chose the word free thinkers to, channel these messages for the reading. And ultimately, this video is for open-minded people that are open to looking at things from different perspectives. Okay, so that's going to be super beneficial for you at this time. And if you feel called, so I would recommend maybe grabbing a journal or some pieces of paper to take some notes with you. Whatever comes to your mind. It might not be something, I'm actually saying, but if it makes you think of something or an experience in your life, that's probably significant, so make sure to jot it down. And as always, take what resonates with you and leave the rest, okay? Another thing that's really different with, as far as how I normally do readings or even videos on here, is that I already pulled the cards and I already pretty much did the reading. I wrote down 6 pages of notes that I'm going to do my best just not to read off of, because I don't think that's going to be really fun to watch for anybody, and that's not how I want to come across and deliver these messages. But it's going to help me to stay on track, to share these points with you instead of just rambling on, which I'm already doing. So just to share that with you. And another thing that I just want to mention is that how I recognized to even do this video is kind of, I don't know, to me it felt weird, because honestly this isn't necessarily how I plan to spend my Saturday morning, but I felt for the first time in a while the need to go online and rant, okay? And that was kind of a red flag moment for me, because it's been years since I felt the need to do that. So I'm like, something isn't right. Why do I want to jump on that bandwagon? And that's not really going to help anybody. That's not really going to help me. I'll end up looking back and being like, wow, why did I say all of those things? To just, it might feel good in a moment, but in the end, it's not helpful. So after I meditated this morning, and I felt calmer, it became clear to me that I'm like, I have something to say, or there's something that needs to be said, and, let's do a tarot reading on the coronavirus, basically. And it's also something that was reoccurring over the last few days that I'm like, why don't I pull cards for, to see what they have to say about the coronavirus? But I wasn't sure really how to, I guess, invoke the message that that wasn't so clear to me, except for after I meditated this morning and I said it, and therefore got the, I said it for the Freethinkers, what's in our highest good for the Freethinkers to know regarding the coronavirus. Because, like I said, I don't think everybody is open to this information, so it really kind of is honing on not just the collective conscious, but like people that are seeking, they want answers and they know they're not really getting the answers that are there. Okay, so now that the introduction is done, let's get into what came through. So the first card that I pulled was the Death card, okay? Insert dun dun dun. I mean, that's not really funny, but it's an inevitable part of life, okay? But so I needed to pull some context for that card because, it is at face value. We know what death is. I need some clarity on that. So I pulled another card and I got the Queen of Swords, which actually, not the best, not the most welcoming thing that we want to see in a reading, but it actually complements the Death card perfectly because, we're shown the Death card, and then following it is a woman that looks like she is at a funeral. So we have that there's a loss that was experienced and someone processing the grief. Okay, so I'm going to refer to my notes now. So, death, as most can say, is an unfortunate possibility. Maybe a worst case scenario and our biggest fear of many of us that's basically being really ramped up right now with the thoughts of this, unknown virus or disease, sickness that's being, talked about constantly. And at the same time, death is also an inevitable part of life. And then with death comes mourning and grief. But ultimately, the silver lining here is that when we see the Queen of Swords, she's overcoming a challenging time, okay? Where we're forced to grow in ways we never thought possible. Like, that is basically the process of being on the outside of death. When you're experiencing a loss of someone that's close to you, it shakes up your life and you are being stretched beyond what you thought was even possible for you to handle. Even if that can take years to process and to get to that point to recognize it, but you're being, forced out of your comfort zone. And there's no choice but to basically leave your comfort zone. I feel like that's a big message too. There's no choice with, with something like death. Or on the surface anyway, let's say. And then the Queen of Swords demands that we find some ways to deal, to cope with death, okay? So, yes, this can pertain to literal death, and that's certainly what the media is feeding on right now, okay? But on a simple, basic meaning, all death really means is an ending. that leads to a new beginning, but that ultimately is a transformation for our growth. I mean, a huge cycle could be ending, okay? So while this might scare you as a reading to see this in a card, and I can understand that, you know, let's look at it as more of an ending to a cycle than a literal death, okay? And ultimately, a chapter that's closing, and we will no longer be the same, okay? You won't be able to see things in the same way. This process and this chapter closing, this ending, this death is causing you to look at things from a different perspective and different ways of living your life. But ultimately, this is perspectives, this is thought, this is how we view and think about things because of this, all of the things that have transpired that are coming to an end, okay? But like I said, we're being forced to see things differently. And the Oracle card, I decided to pull an Oracle card for each of these tarot cards. And we get Open Your Third Eye. This is the card that pairs up with the Death card. Okay, so what does that mean to you? Because that really, I think, changed the context of the reading with the Oracle card, at least from my perspective, that I'm like, okay, I kind of see what's happening right now. You know, we have to open our eyes, our third eye, our intuition, our ways to pick up these subtle energies and things that aren't being said to us. What's, you know, reading in between the lines. What are you picking up when you read between the lines? Our job is to challenge the information that is being commercially spoon-fed to us as a free thinker, a skeptic, which I assume you are if you're watching this video. So, with that, I'll read the Oracle card here for Open Your Third Eye. It's echinacea, okay? That's also a beautiful message to think of these, you know, a reminder to amp up on things that help your immune system right now if you are worried about getting sick. You know, we basically just want to be taking good care of our health. You know, that's the best thing we can do. And that means staying calm. That means treating yourself lovingly. That means, you know, and it may mean, you know, taking some echinacea, drink, you know, there's teas with echinacea, but echinacea is like a powerful herb to boost your immunity. So that's actually really perfect too. So it says it's safe for you to open your center of clairvoyance. By doing so, you'll see the truth. Okay, my personal experience with death was very similar to this. I mean, I'm not trying to go on some rant, but I feel like many people could also relate to this, that you somehow maybe had premonitions of someone close to you passing, but you were just refused to see that the end was near. And in some ways, by resisting seeing how it really was, you kind of prolonged that anguish and you prolonged the grief. Or when there's ever an ending in sight, like, I mean, for a job, for example, you know, maybe you just weren't ready to leave and you weren't ready to deal with these things that, you know, at some point the universe is going to force you to deal with. So you chose to ignore the signs. We're being told right now we can't ignore the signs any longer. They're too in our face to ignore. Okay? And but more than likely, it's not what we're seeing at face value either. So we have to use discernment, and we have to trust our gut and use our own intuitiveness to decipher what is really happening. Okay? What are you really buying into? What are you believing? And trusting your own, thoughts and opinions on the matter. And their voices may appear louder and at a greater number, but we must rise to the occasion. Ask the questions you have. Share your feelings. Okay, and I'll read it again. It's safe for you to open your center of clairvoyance. By doing so, you'll see the truth. Okay, and then I'll just read from the book here what Open Your Third Eye has to say. Let me drink some water. Okay. Your third eye chakra is an energy center that's located between your two physical eyes. Opening it allows you to access your gifts of clairvoyance, which is the ability to psychically see. This is a wonderful experience. Start by focusing on the echinacea blossom or its image. Visualize a deep blue or purple energy flowing up into the space between your eyes. Breathe deeply and relax, allowing your angels and the echinacea to do their work. Be willing to let go of fears associated with seeing the truth. If you've been experiencing headaches lately, these may originate in your third eye. When the angels try to communicate with you, they interact with your clairvoyance. If your third eye is closed or blocked, it's likely they're knocking on the door, waiting for you to open up. Ask your angels to please give their guidance in other, more comfortable ways. Additional meanings: your recent experiences are from the angels. It's safe for you to be psychic. Okay, so ultimately, it's safe for you to open yourself up to receiving this information, to being even more skeptical than maybe you have shown yourself in the past. Okay, if possible, calm the fears of your loved ones. Share your skepticism, have them meet you on your level instead of falling down into despair because of giving into fear, worry, and xenophobia. Okay, so the more you open yourself up to seeing things differently and following your intuition and your internal guidance, that's going to maybe, that's probably going to clash with other people around you. But you have to stay, trust yourself that you can share what it is that is coming through with you. Just like I am doing this video, just feel like, again, using discernment with how you say things, responding versus reacting, and, who it is you're telling these things to, and what they are. I would encourage a safe space, a safe environment, and it's really not about creating, being a contrarian or just being difficult. This is about having legitimate questions and concerns and expecting that, maybe if there isn't an answer for this, we can wait till there is, or we can pause, or we can adjust, or I'm going to do this until there is, another reason not to, for lack of a better summary for that. And then for the Queen of Swords, the Oracle card, we have raise your vibration. Okay? So that with open your third eye, I mean, that is, you know, when you open your third eye, you basically are raising your vibration. And so, you know, when I say having people meet on your level of thinking, that is what we're being called to do. You know, shining the light and keeping it together for those that are really having problems, even worse than ours, as far as like feeding into the frenzy and the panic that is being shown to us. You know, that we don't have to necessarily get on that level, that we have an option to stay calm in the face of all this. But you're going to be challenged to do the work to keep that together as well, you know. And the message with raise your vibration, the quote here is, your intuitive feelings are accurate messages from the angels. Okay, so you've got, you know, whether you believe in psychic abilities or what have you, you have a spirit team that is giving you guidance more than likely 24/7, okay? But if you're not open to that, you're going to think that's crazy and that's some BS or whatever. But if you open yourself up more to that, you know, you're going to be surprised with the things that can guide you to do to better yourself and to help those around you. You're going to know what you need to do when you need to know it. And, you know, now more than ever, we're being called to listen to our intuition, which fortunately is heightened right now. Okay? So thankfully, we're in a favorable time because the sun is in the sign of Pisces, which is a very intuitive sign, which means, you know, even if this whole thing is new to you, tarot, oracle cards, you know, your chakras, if all of this is new to you, this is a favorable time in your life to be open to what this will mean for you and how to use this information to really, again, you know, change your perspective, because it's a new way of coping. It's a new way of dealing with things you've never yet thought of. Pisces season helps you get into the subtle energies, again, reading in between the lines and the information that is there. Tapping into the unknown. Okay, so that is what we are being encouraged to do as this, you know, and as we're writing out this ending into a new beginning. Okay, and so not only do we have favorable circumstances with the sun being in the sign of Pisces, but we also have the super full moon coming up, and full moons illuminate truth, illuminate what things have been being hidden for us during some sort of cycle. And I suspect that is a perfect time to reveal more of, you know, what's actually being hidden from us right now. Then we also have the planet Mercury stationing direct soon, which means that communication is more likely to be fluid and come out more accurately than in the last few weeks when it was going, you know, Mercury was retrograde, because it's not the best time for communicating, and things, you know, your wires can get crossed, so things can be misunderstood. So with Mercury stationing direct, the sun in Pisces, and the super full moon, there's a potent, you know, pocket of energy that is very favorable for truth to come to light and things to be revealed, whether we want to see them that way or not. And then going back to death representing an ending, later this month, when the sun moves signs into Aries, astrologers celebrate that as a time that's the official start of the new year. That's the astrological start of the new year. And it goes, it moves through the next 11 signs. Well, the 12 signs all over again. Okay, because the first sign is Aries. So we have the end of the astrological new year, therefore opening up a new beginning, a new astrological year. So that's later in March. Okay, so basically we have this time frame within the next couple days, between the next couple weeks to the end of the month, that a lot of things will be coming to light right now. And it would serve us best if we're open to these possibilities, open to what could be, and to question things, okay? And to follow those inner nudges, of like, maybe you have to do something different than what is being told to you. Like, what resonates, and action steps, or, what is it that you really feel called to do right now? Okay, and act from those places that really bring comfort to your spirit, bring comfort to your soul, and put your mind and your heart at ease. Okay? But we're not going to necessarily be in that place if we're not calm. So that's, that's the difference. We want to be responding versus reacting, and taking that inspired response. Okay? So, where does that leave me off here with my notes? I kind of went on a little tangent there. Okay, well that was the bulk of the reading. But then there's some more context here that I like to look at. I like to pull the card at the top of the deck and the cards at the bottom of the deck. So I did do that with the tarot and the oracle. Okay, so we have the Lovers that came up. Okay? Kind of, that's a pleasant surprise, right? To see the Lovers compared to, Death and the Queen of Swords. This is like, okay, this is an energy that I want to experience, right? And that's good. Okay, that means, though, that it's not what we're being met with at face value. That's for sure. You have to dig a little deeper and find the Lovers. Okay, and the Lovers met with the oracle. Let your inner beauty shine. Pink rose. Again, another beautiful message. Okay? So together we have love, connection, balance that ultimately creates harmony. So all of that is available to us right now, which isn't that a wonderful thing to know in the face of this, hysteria that's being, we're kind of being forced to look at. So we're challenged to tap into this state. Even in the uncertainty, we all deserve and are worthy of happiness. Okay, so again, meet on that level. You can be happy while this is simultaneously affecting, the globe. That's not selfish to feel at peace, to feel happiness in the face of uncertainty and fear. And it will actually serve you better tapping into joy, tapping into happiness. These are things that bring your nervous system, peace, and chillness, and things that, relaxation instead of tense, constricting energy. We want to relax and open up. Okay? So, but we have to align with this highest frequency of love to do so. This is when we can see and experience miracles. Relieving ourselves of worry because we know we're okay. Okay? Now, this is true whether you are, in a relationship with someone else or not. There is higher powers working out in our favor. Okay? And we have to trust in this. And we have to do what we're being encouraged to follow through with on an intuitive level. Okay, and the lovers also, I almost said level, or levels, or levers? I'm not even actually sure what I almost said. But anyway, the lovers represent balance, okay? And so this to me made me think, we need to balance our intake on news, even research, learning. We need to balance the information coming with us, because the more that we are always tapped into things outside of us, we're going to miss what our intuition and our inner guidance is communicating to us, or trying to communicate to us, because we're tapped into everything that's outside of us. So while I think it's, I'm not saying it's not good to know what's going on outside of yourself, or to continue learning or seeking information, but that we have to be mindful of at the cost of what that's doing to us. How's that making you feel? Do you feel better afterwards, or do you feel drained? And that we need to balance that out with feeling good, joy, and laughter, okay? And ultimately shifting out of our head and getting more into the body, and ideally our heart, okay? So again, that's stuff that's going to help our nervous systems through this, stressful period. And Pink Rose, you are a brilliant example of God's love. Everything about you is perfect. So let your light shine and inspire others. Let your light shine and inspire others, okay? That really has been a reoccurring theme throughout this reading, right? We want to help to bring other people up and know that there is something else happening here than necessarily what we're being told. And that even if you have your own deeper fears, that hopefully you're okay right now. You're okay today. If you're watching this video, you have a chance, okay? You are okay today. Okay, and let's see what the Oracle card says for let your inner beauty shine. I guess this is going to be a pretty long video, but we're almost at the end. But this is why I knew it would be too long to write on just an Instagram post. Okay? Let your inner beauty shine. It's time to release any feelings that tell you you're not good enough. You're truly beautiful, yet you sometimes struggle to allow this inner magnificence to show. This card asks you to become comfortable with all aspects of yourself. The angels wish you to know that you're indeed perfectly created. It's easy to believe the media's idea of what is attractive. However, true beauty is not based on outside appearances. What you possess is an inner radiance, a fascinating and loving aura that's desperate to be set free. When you reveal it, your confidence will increase, you'll receive compliments, and you'll attract like-minded new friends. Additional meanings. Love who you are. Know that you're this way for a reason. Be honest with yourself about your feelings. Okay? Whether they're popular or not. So this is a sign to do just that, okay? Which really, again, was kind of, it goes in and complements what I was saying earlier perfectly. Okay, I'm gonna go into this last bit. And we have the Ten of Swords with financial healing. Okay, now I thought this was kind of an odd pair to close out the reading until I sat and kind of analyzed with it, and this is what came through. So, the propaganda is overwhelming, causing our brains to think all the worst case scenarios. This, unless we're faced with it head on, meaning, if it's really affecting you personally, that, this is basically saying most of us are not being affected by this personally yet, thank God. Not to discredit the people that are affected by it, but, I guess to go off on a segue here, it's kind of like how we are living our lives now with social media that, was not available 20 years ago. You didn't, we weren't friends with all the people we went to school with. Our parents weren't like online seeing how their lives went after, years of never being in physical contact with them anymore, and seeing how our life is measuring up, and just this constant comparison and looking into this an insider's look into some of these personal moments in the people's lives. We're taking all that in, and then we're having these thoughts and feelings and opinions on things that we really, years ago, we didn't know. We didn't have to worry about that stuff. So I feel like the same thing is kind of happening now, where it's almost like TMI, too much information that we're being told so quickly before there's really enough data to really have us calmly know what's really going on. It just has us reacting from a place of having a lot of questions and wanting this to go the heck away. And the Ten of Swords, is the card that symbolizes mental overwhelm. It's someone that has a lot on their mind. And the good thing about it is it's at the end of this cycle that there's going to be a breaking point or a revelation and release at some point. But right now, it's like a heavy burden on one's mind. So going back to where I left off here, unless it's actually in your personal life, we're kind of given a choice as far as, is this a distraction to have us operate based on our fears, or are we reacting and responding from a place of really how we need to conduct our life? Just go about your business like you would normally and operate happily and, harmoniously, and trust that it's all going to work out. There's that fine line between, I don't want to say you go out ignorantly and oblivious to what's happening around you, but we have to use discernment on how much we're letting it impact our day-to-day life, okay? and that there could be something else at play as far as them wanting us to react from, you know, totally going the other, you know, going off the deep end. So again, I mean, I've said this probably enough in this video, but, you know, reacting versus responding, closing off versus opening up, seeking revenge versus finding peace. Okay, and we kind of want to walk that, you know, path in the middle so we can actually see how it's all happening, and that we're not so in it. And we're seeing people react out of a place of lack, okay? Because the world appears to not have what we need. Which brings to the surface greed. Okay, and some examples, you know, they're talking about closing schools. So we have parents that are worried, how will they work if the school is closed? We have people kind of threatening if they're not even going to be going out as much anymore. So we have people worried, how is that going to affect the jobs that they have in the service industry and elsewhere? And then, you know, this is, I think, becoming the most common thing that we are dealing with on a personal level, is people are buying more than their share of essentials because they're panicking and because they're scared that they won't have enough, and can't be bothered to think about anyone else's family in the state of their, you know, crisis situation right now, which ultimately is screwing over your neighbors. You know, when you have, like, I don't know, months worth of toilet paper or hand sanitizer or whatever, you know. I mean, if you have, you know, one in a backup, then do you really need to buy the whole shelf? So anyway, that was going to be, it was a little rant. So going back, that's a scarcity mindset that is being totally brought up right now, when so many of us still are overcoming these scarcity beliefs and the fact that we don't have enough, and we're always operating from that place. Well, it's just, I never have enough. And instead of really knowing that, you know, you have everything you need, we are in an abundant universe and there is more than enough to go around for everyone. Okay, so this obviously puts a financial burden on so many of us right now. And to be honest, this came up for me as well. So this was part of my wanting to go on a rant online. So you know, but this brought me some clarity for that. And what if we think about the fact that, you know, before you, I mean, I'm not saying you per se, but, you know, hopefully the people that are, you know, excessively buying these things, you know, what if we thought about for the fact that someone is benefiting greatly from this, and ultimately you're wasting your money, you're wasting your resources by trying to make yourself feel good with this stuff. Okay, and disclaimer, the following may also be an unpopular opinion. Okay, so financial healing not only reminds us to act from a place of abundance, but I believe it also tells us that others are greatly profiting off of the madness. We want to be on the side of our families, friends, neighbors, and communities, sharing our resources and not feeding the beast, that created the frenzy. Okay? And lastly, I'll get into more of my personal reasoning behind this video. Is that even as a homebody, my fears go beyond the flu here, okay? Because I've read numerous things that really just break this down as another form of flu, and that most of us will hopefully, you know, if we were to get it, as long as we didn't have like a compromised immune system, we should be able to even fight it. Okay? But, so again, it's not so much the flu, but the thought of being told when or where I can come and go. So, yeah, even though I'm a homebody and I like to kind of hibernate in my home, the idea that, you know, people are being forced into quarantine just seems, you know, scary, right? It's limiting our freedoms and making us feel like prisoners, mainly out of speculation. Okay, so in my opinion, it seems like they're trying too hard to act like there is reasonable cause for these quarantines, but how can we be so sure? So how can we be so sure? This question is basically, you know, the essence of what I felt like I needed to bring up, because I just want to let other people know that if you're questioning all this stuff, that is okay to question it, and to be okay with challenging these things that are going to be caught up in these parameters that are going to be being implemented in our day-to-day lives, okay? And, you know, now I don't mean to say we need to react aggressively or anything like that, but that's why this whole reading is reminding us that we need to stay strong and calm and believe in ourselves, believe that we know better, okay? And that's this last part here that I wrote. Trust yourself that you have all you need to make the right choices for you and your families. Believe you know yourself better than someone else, especially a stranger. You know, the one message I read recently, I think it was from Let Your Inner Beauty Shine. You know, that is telling you, you are capable, you know yourself, you know, don't let someone that maybe has the credentials make you question things you already know to be true with yourself, okay? So we're being guided to stand with and, you know, stand up for our convictions, okay? And, or to speak with conviction, you know, not stand up for our convictions, but you get the gist of what I'm saying, I'm sure. And I guess lastly, I just want to leave saying to take care of yourself, take care of each other, stay calm, stay strong, and stay healthy. Okay? So I hope that these messages resonate with you. And, oh, I actually had one other note that I almost forgot to share regarding the color symbolism that came through with these oracle cards, okay? So I mean, what is standing out here, right? It's pink and yellow, okay? So I felt like that was, definitely symbolic. And just real quickly in a quick Google search, I looked up this color symbolism, and pink represents universal love of oneself and others, friendship, affection, harmony, inner peace, and approachability. So that's interesting because I also have this thought of, even though on the surface right now it looks like we're in a global crisis, that we're being divided and we're separated, and at the, on a deeper level, what if this all actually brings us together and there's a unification that happens? And, it's weird. Pink apparently symbolizes this, okay? And that there is a lot of love energy in this reading, even in the midst of all this fear and chaos. And then yellow, many of us probably know yellow is associated with happiness. Okay, it's also associated with hope, positivity, clarity, energy, optimism. But this also said that it can symbolize cowardness and deceit. Okay, so kind of an interesting twist there. But again, that we're being encouraged to align with love, to lead with love, to lead with happiness and joy, and how that really could change the energies that are trying to be, running the show here, okay? And I'm just going to take a real weird pause of silence there. The last message here that I have is that yellow is also symbolic and represents it's associated with your solar plexus chakra. Okay? And your solar plexus is the space above your stomach and below your diaphragm. Okay? So pretty much right there. And essentially is the fire in your belly. Okay, so I feel like maybe we're all awakening to some other kind of inspired actions that we need to take. Awakening to a different sort of purpose that we came here. We're seeing what's really, truly important, and because we're seeing things how they really are. Okay? So remember that as you're moving through your day-to-day, and allow that to help you decide, is it really cause for concern, or what's immediately are you being forced to focus on right now? What's really important for you? And with that, I think I'm done speaking about this, and I hope it brought you peace. I hope it brought you clarity. And I hope you can stay calm in the face of all of this. And I send you love. And until I post another video, you can follow my Instagram at Tiger's Eyesight 777 for my latest readings, if that interests you. And I will talk to you later. Take care.